I've got petty prejudice neighbor drama, and it's stressing me the fuck out. As a result, I'm really struggling to focus on making our regular scheduled content, so I figured I'd just be petty too and bitch about my problems to the internet. Probably won't change anything, but maybe it'll make me feel better. Little backstory before we get into prejudice Karen drama I never thought I'd be dealing with. A little less than a year ago, my fiance and I bought this property together. I should say the bank bought it for us, and we pay them lots of money every month to live here. And prior to that, we were living on my 40-acre property just south of here that I owned outright. Now me, being a child of the recession, am absolutely traumatized of the idea that a bank can just be like, you're gonna be homeless now if something bad happens in the economy. You know, all that good old millennial PTSD. So the security of the fact that the bank can't take that house from me and make me homeless, and some weird sentimental family attachments to that property that don't even totally make sense to me and is not relevant to the story, and all the shit I have there that I didn't want to move, we decided to keep the property and rent it out, hoping we could give somebody a good deal, especially if they had animals or they could keep their animals on site, kind of expecting to rent it to horse people. But instead, an African-American gentleman and a significant other who have 5 dogs that they show and do a little bit of breeding with wanted space for their dogs. So I run a background check on him, which is important for later in the story. That came back completely clean, no criminal history, no credit history either, because he pays for everything in cash, and that made me a little nervous, but I was like, you know what, give him a chance. It's hard probably to find a place to rent when you have that many dogs, and nobody wants to give up their dogs, their family. So they move in, and they're great. No problems, they're super flexible, they've been taking care of the place, I got no complaints, with them anyway. Sadly, up here in rural Minnesota, it is the Great White North, and I'm not talking about the snow. So now after them living there for close to a year, my old next door neighbor, let me preface, next door neighbor, this is a 40-acre property. It has no immediate neighbors. The house is in the middle. Her house is across a 20-acre field. You can barely see it through some trees. And when I say barely, like the roof line of the garage. Now this neighbor, who I considered family, I helped her through a divorce, I helped her move into that house, I've picked up her broken down cars on the side of the road, helped her repair her cars, lent her vehicles, multiple of them, for months at a time when she didn't have a reliable vehicle to drive. I plowed her driveway and mowed her yard for years. I buried 2 of her cats for her, which she was very attached to because she couldn't bear to do it. You get the point. We were close, or at least I thought. That isn't least until a man who doesn't need to tan moved in next door. And maybe I should have seen the signs before, because she's made comments in the past like Supreme Court Justice Jackson and Vice President Harris only got the jobs because of their skin color, not because they're qualified in any way, shape, or form. And then started making those weird, uncomfortable, awkward, unsolicited comments about her new neighbor's ethnicity. Like, oh, I think it's good that somebody like him is moving up here, but I know there's like some prejudiced people around here, but you know, it's not about the color of somebody's skin, it's about who they are as a person, you know? That kind of out of the blue shit that somebody would never say if it was somebody like me moving in. But me, always wanting to see the best in everybody, assumed that this was like a result of her echo chamber ignorance from her obsession with Tucker Carlson. Wouldn't actually apply these prejudices to a real life person who is, by all accounts of everybody I know who's interacted with him, including my own, a very nice person. I was wrong. Because Michelle finally goes full Karen and calls the county to report him for having more than 2 dogs or cats. Yeah, that was a fun fact for me. Lived in Chisago County for over a decade. Never knew that there was a rule you needed a kennel permit to have 3 or more dogs or cats. Ironically, prior to those 2 cats I had to bury for Michelle passing away a little over a year ago, she was also in violation of this ordinance and has been the entire time she's lived in the fucking county. Ironically, you could have 25 horses, sheep, goats, chickens, cows, you name it, and that's all fine, but 3 dogs, let's not get fucking carried away. Now, being that this was a new person that I didn't know living in my house who had multiple dogs, I talked to a number of my neighbors multiple times, including Michelle, being like, hey, everything good? Dogs haven't been a nuisance or anything? They haven't wandered onto your property? And the response was always, nope, they've been quiet, keep to themselves, honestly didn't even know they had dogs. So you'll forgive my skepticism when I don't believe that anybody truly gave a shit about the dogs on the 40-acre property that doesn't have any direct fucking neighbors. So not wanting them to have to rehome their dogs or find a new place to live, I write an addendum to the lease saying, you know, you can have your 5 permanent dogs here, you can have 2 non-permanent dogs that stay for up to a week, you can have up to 2 litters a year. But the property is not to be used as a commercial boarding, breeding, or business front. They sign that, I sign off with the county saying that they are all good to apply for this kennel permit. I think, cool, just a formality, it sucks, but life will go on. They pay their $1,000 filing fee and start jumping through all the hoops that the county asked them to jump through. Hoops that include the county mailing shit about it out to the direct neighbors and giving them the chance to come to the township board meeting and bitch and the county planning meeting and bitch. And with that letter, Michelle's true colors really came out to shine. She texts me while I'm on vacation, no less, being like, you're getting a commercial kennel? No, they're applying for a commercial permit. You know, the permit permit the county tells them that they have to have because you called them in, and if you do any breeding at all or any dog that isn't yours ever stays on the property, it has to be a commercial permit. And she just goes off on me, calling me a liar, saying I hid things from her. No fucking idea what she's talking about. Well, I was as transparent as I could be with her because I trusted her, stupidly, and wanted to make sure that everything was going good with the new neighbors. And then she goes off, I did my research and found out that you've just got trash human beings living over there. They're violent, dangerous, convicted felons. Remember I told you I ran a background check on them, one of those ones you got to pay for, and everything came back clean on that. So I did my due diligence. I didn't hide anything. I don't know what Detective Karen could find that the Zillow background check couldn't. Feel like it's probably nothing, but even if it is something, you know what? I don't give a shit. He's been there for close to a year. He hasn't bothered anybody, and even if he's got a past that he somehow snuck by me, people with a past still need a fucking place to live. And again, 40-acre property, no immediate neighbors, so who he is and what he does there, as far as I'm concerned, nobody's fucking business. But no, because she found out the super secret information that he's this violent, convicted criminal, I put her and her family, even though she lives there alone, in mortal danger, apparently. So does it seem out of line when I say I really don't feel like it's about the fucking dogs? If it wasn't enough berating me, calling me a liar, saying awful, and as far as I'm concerned, untrue things about the brown guy next door, this grown-ass, middle-aged woman unfriended me, my fiance, and every single one of our mutual friends in my friend group that she was friends with on social media like she's a 13-year-old fucking girl. And then took to next door to inform the town of the atrocities that will happen if this permit gets approved and rally all the neighbors against him. And me, of course, because my name's attached to it too. And now there's people from like a mile down a completely different fucking road sticking their nose into it and voicing their opinion because it's a small town and everybody's hobby is minding everybody else's fucking business. Now, a couple of the close neighbors, I understand their concern, especially since Michelle's been running her fucking mouth, but they did fill out this commercial kennel permit like they're trying to run a commercial kennel, saying they're like set up for like 20 dogs and multiple litters and yada yada yada. According to my tenants, they filled it out this way at the recommendation of the person at the county walking them through this process because they said that the county can approve them for less than what they ask for, and they just want to make sure that they ask for everything. That way, whatever's less, they're still in compliance. I don't know. I've kind of been out of the loop on this whole thing, partially because I didn't realize that there was a huge loop to be in on, and partially because the county forgot to include me on all of the communications for this since, like September. So Tuesday, the county finally sent me an email saying, oh, yeah, sorry, we forgot, but I guess you should probably be included on these communications. By the way, the meeting's Thursday. Today. So all my information so far I've either gotten straight from my tenants just having to take their word or from pissed off neighbors. And that makes me look like an idiot, which I haven't been a huge fan of. So some of the neighbors are now trying to pit me against my tenants. And you know what? Maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe my tenants are trying to pull something over on me a little bit. Maybe they're trying to see if they can get away with just a little bit more. So hopefully one day they can expand their operation. Maybe they're doing something behind my back. I don't know. As long as they're not bothering anybody else and not breaking the law, it's nobody else's fucking business. That's between me and them. And well, they aren't bothering anybody. Obviously, plenty of the neighbors are bothering them. In fact, a couple neighbors showed up the other day and he caught them snooping around the property and he asked what they were doing. They said, oh, we're tracking our cat. He comes over here all the time. I've never met those neighbors. I lived there for 10 years. No, your fucking cat doesn't come over all the time. People slowly driving by and stopping and snooping around the property. My tenant told me he feels like a zoo animal. And that is just so fucked up. And now I've got to go to a Chisago County board meeting at 7 p.m. and deal with all of these people's bullshit to their face. And I am not excited about it. It is stressing me the fuck out. Now I'm stressed. I'm tired. I've lost sleep over this. And I found it pretty difficult to focus on much else. And so for those of you who haven't swiped away and somehow made it to the end of this long babbling rant, I apologize that this is the video you get today. Thank you for listening to me vent, and I will do my best to get back to giving you the content you actually want to hear about tomorrow. I love y'all, and if there's a point to this video, I guess it's channel your inner Mr. Rogers and just be nice to your neighbors.